You look terrible. Has anyone ever said mean things to you like that? Or worse things? Or have you looked in a mirror and said terrible, mean, nasty things about yourself other than you look terrible? I'm Dr. Angela. I want to talk today a little bit about the words that we use and how they create patterns in our mind that go into body sensations that we harbor as anxiety. Anxiety can show up in our body in different places. It can be a pit in our stomach. It can be a tightening in our chest. It can be a feeling of not being able to breathe and take a deep breath because we're so stressed out that we're chest breathing and we're breathing really hard. Or our throat can feel like we can't say anything. Or we can burst into tears or get a whomping pressure headache. Any of those, plus lots of others, can be physical signs and symptoms of anxiety and of being anxious. But anxiety also lives in our minds, in our brains, in the words that we use to ourselves, the mean things that we might say to ourselves, or the mean things that we have heard somewhere along the line that now just ricochet and rattle around and take a permanent residence in our mind. Maybe something that was said to us as a kid. Wow, you're never going to be good at that. Or you always were bad at math. Or you never learned to spell. Or whatever. Words like that, critical things, can have a lot of power that follow us along to adulthood, or we've heard things in adulthood or said things to ourselves that just stay embedded in our minds and then create that cycle of anxiety in our bodies, nasty words in our heads. But we can change that. And when we're trapped in that panicky feeling in our body, because the words in our head are just mean, just nasty, we can create ways to interrupt those patterns. So I'm just going to take a phrase that I started with of "you look terrible," because there are worse things we could say to ourselves, or worse things that someone may have said to us that was hurtful and mean that live up here. But I'm going to take "you look terrible." And for me, when I have a phrase or a sentence that someone has said to me or that I say to myself that is mean and unkind and creates anxiety, where it lives for me is always over here, on this side of me. As if someone is standing there saying those mean things. It always comes into this ear, never this ear, as if it's somebody. Even if it's my words to myself that are not very nice, it starts over here. So if I want to change that, if I'm stuck in a bad loop in my head and I'm being unresourceful and I'm being self-critical, if I take those words, "you look terrible," whatever they are, and I move where they're coming from so that it's not coming from here anymore. There is nobody here talking to me saying mean things. Maybe it's me talking to myself, but I'm going to move that me way out in front of me, like 5-6 feet way out there, and that mean and critical me is going to be a lot shorter. And maybe mean and critical me who's out there now saying, "you look terrible," like, wow, maybe I look terrible, but you look funny, or you look silly, or what? You're so tiny I can't hear you. So I have changed some modalities from a loud voice that's right here being to a tiny little miniature sized critical person over there. And whoever that critical person is, I have changed that and put them somewhere further away from me. And I've changed the way that critical voice sounds. You look terrible. Baha, you look funny. Or maybe I'm gonna like turn the volume down. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I've used my remote and I've turned the volume down. Sorry, you're muted and I can't hear you anymore. And by doing that, I've interrupted a pattern from my brain to my body, and now I'm in a much lighter mood. I'm feeling a little silly. I'm feeling like whatever this is gone. There's nobody here anymore. And it's interrupted that brain to body, body to brain cycle long enough for me to decide what I want to do next. Can I take a deep breath now? Can I use my feet and walk away and leave little miniature critical person there away? Maybe yes. If it's a voice from my past saying the same thing over and over and over, can I just put them over there and put them in a box and never listen to that and take away the power of those mean words so that they don't live up here anymore? You have some really good options for dealing with the mean thoughts and the mean ideas that are triggering anxiety. And maybe you have a huge catalog of those mean things that can set you off, because there are mean people in the world and there are sometimes mean people up here in your own head, but you can do that with the words and the phrases that trigger you a lot. So just play with it. Maybe you need to put the mean person so far back there that, like, wow, be out there mowing the lawn because I can't hear you anymore. Maybe they need to be back in your past. Maybe they need to be so far out there that you can't hear them. Maybe they need to be on that side. Maybe they need to have the voice of Mickey Mouse or anybody else that would be silly and stupid and not have as much power. So try that. See how that works for you. Let me know. Coming up in August on the 21st, I am having a webinar, free webinar on anxiety and how to stop anxiety, where I will be teaching lots of techniques like this so you can learn to catch yourself at anxious moments and make changes so that anxiety doesn't have power over you. I'm going to put the link below this video so that you can sign up for the free webinar, come and learn some really great things, because nobody needs to live here with constant anxiety slowing them down. These techniques will also be something you can teach kids. If you have kids going back to school and they have anxiousness about, school is kind of scary sometimes, they can watch, or you can take the best things that you think will help them the most and teach them to your kids. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.